Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Out for Blood. And we are moving into Chapter 6, guys. Keep calm and carry on. But considering what happened to Morgan in the last stream, and becoming a bit of a... I wouldn't say a midnight snack. Yeah, I guess a midnight snack is very appropriate. But also finding out that we basically owe a huge debt to the bank via our grandfather. It's just things just seem to be getting more and more complicated. So, let's go ahead and rock this out. Only a true best friend can protect you from your immortal enemies. Rochelle Mead, Vampire Academy. With the mayor gone, you return to the business of running your business. Now more than ever, you can use the money. A corkboard hangs by the store's entrance where your grandfather let people post flyers, business cards, and bulletins. You spot something new hanging at the top. Walking over, you see the grayscale printed picture of a young man in a dress suit next to a blow-up of his face. Missing. Have you seen Tyler Sanders? Missing since Sunday, July 21st, 2019. Please contact 331-797-5501 or the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office with any information on Tyler. The sign goes on to list his vital statistics and his last known whereabouts outside Long Valley Park. Lamb steps up to you with a tablet in hand. I took the liberty of doing a complete accounting of the business and would like to go over it with you. Okay, I guess now is as good a time as any. I will make this fast. It's a small store, he says, tapping away at the touchscreen. As you can see, you are almost out of inventory. I doubt we have more than another sale or two. Turning to your supply room, it has an abundance of inventory to restock the store. I recommend restocking the shelves in the store unless you plan to bring customers into the supply room to pick through the boxes. That takes care of the store. The store bell chimes, and in walks a tall man you recognize from the other night at Mayor Bumpley's party. Noticing you and Lamb, he nods. Oh, hey there. Marcus Williams. I'm here for... he starts to say. Lamb holds up a finger to him while staring down at his tablet. One moment, sir. I am finishing my report on the store. Marcus furrows his brow. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead... That is very rude, but now that we have manipulation and persuasion up at 5 dots, let's see if this works. Lamb, this is too important to rush through. Let me take care of this customer so we can take our time with the rest of your report. I make Lamb feel important, though I really want to move on to Marcus. Hey, Kath. Conniving plus 10, relationship with Marcus plus 12. Oh, let's go ahead and lower that just a little bit. Yeah, something sinister is definitely going on, Ogremar. Lamb opens his mouth to speak, hesitates, and then says, Yes, I totally agree. It will also give me time to fine-tune my charts. Relationship with Lamb plus 6. You lead Marcus over to the counter away from Lamb. He sits on a stool by the counter. So am I too early for the meeting? Meeting? I don't know anything about a meeting. The store bell chimes once again, and Lacey marches around Lamb, who is now sweeping in front of the store. She's dressed sharply in a pantsuit and takes off an expensive pair of sunglasses that go into a leather case. Seeing you and Marcus by the counter, she makes her way over. Hello everyone. Let me start off by saying I appreciate your support. Lacey shoves the case into her handbag and plops the loaded bag onto the counter. You're welcome, Marcus says. Support for what? Lacey looks confused. Well, my campaign. That's what I was told, although I did think it's strange you wanted to meet here. The bell chimes yet again, and Adam and Salem enter the store. They both make their way over to the counter. Salem carries a pastry box while Adam has a tray of sandwiches on his lap. Hi everyone, Adam says. Should we bring these to the kitchen? As everyone shares confused looks around the room, you say, So why don't we go around the room and say why we're here today? Salem drops the pastry box on the counter. So no brunch? I didn't eat any breakfast, and I'm getting hangry. I agree with Morgan, Adam says, rolling to a stop next to Marcus. Obviously, we're here under different pretexts. If we say what they are, we can piece together what's going on. Lacey clicks her teeth. I got a message from Vanessa von Helsing that 4 people wanted to meet about volunteering for my campaign. Marcus shifts on the stool. Well, I was told that a Buffy Summers was starting a Citizens Watch group. She was setting up a meet and greet at the store today. A slow build of laughter takes over Salem. Adam catches on, and he's laughing too. Okay, someone is definitely messing with us, Salem says. So far, these are all names from TV shows. Buffy is from a movie as well as a television series, Lamb yells from the back of the store. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The front entrance of the store opens, and in walks Makayla with a pile of books in her arms. She looks harried and rushes through your small group as books start to topple. When they fall, you know she's wearing a shirt from the band Baby Chorus. You remember that from a gig at the Succubus Club in Chicago. Makayla drops her books across the counter. Sorry I'm late. The librarian, Miss Hanson, gets on my last nerve. These books haven't been checked out in over 5 years, and she's telling me I've already reached my limit. Makayla Clark, what is the meaning of this? Lacey asks in an authoritative tone, hands on her hips. The girl stands straight, shoulders back. Mrs. Pendleton, remember last year at the Young Scientist Seminar? You said sometimes the ends justify the means? I had to figure out a way to get you all here, so I kind of told a few white lies. So you lied to get us all here? For what reason? Lacey asks, her voice cracking like a whip. She shifts her body forward, leaning over the young teenager. You need to start telling the truth, because I am on the brink of driving you over to your mother's office so we can all have a little chat. Makayla holds up a large hardcover book. Vampires in America. This is the reason. No one answers, and she holds out the book like it's the Holy Grail and plops it on the counter. All the adults in the room share quick looks. Marcus pops an apple tart out of the pastry box and takes a bite. Salem hops up on the counter and sits. She puts her thumb in her mouth and chews her fingernail. What's that book? Adam asks. He presses his hands on the armrest of his wheelchair, which lifts his body for a moment so he can see the cover. It talks about real vampires in America. Other people have spotted them. There are all these stories that really happened, Makayla says. She steps back from the group like she's ready to make an announcement. I'm not sorry for how I got you all here. No one's been listening to me because I'm a kid. I've told the police and even the mayor. I told Pastor Jim. No one wants to admit what we all know. Vampires live in Jericho Heights. You all have had a run-in with one, but none of you will tell anyone. Everyone is scared and not sure what to do, but I'm telling you what to do. We work together. No one says a word. You glance at each person in the room who are each doing the same. All of you hesitant in guessing who will speak first. Makayla continues. Miss Chastain. She's the top vampire in town. I don't know about Mr. Jayfield, but they both live at Bleakrest House, and I'm pretty sure that's their hideout. There are other vampires in town too, but I don't know who they are. I've been doing this all by myself, and it ain't easy with a 9 o'clock curfew. Vampires. Seriously? Salem says, rolling her eyes. I took a half day off for this, Adam says and rolls toward the front of the store. Marcus holds his hands up. Hang on. Let's hear her out. As everyone reacts to Makayla's words, you speak up. What proof do you have, Makayla? You can't just hold up a book and proclaim monsters exist. I mean, our int in science, I think, should be up, but I don't necessarily want to... Like, we pretty much have proof due to having a bunch of blood sucked from our neck. Is it true? Have you all crossed paths with a vampire in Jericho Heights? I don't want to be the first to share my experience. Conniving +8, inquisitive +2. None of the other adults speak up. They don't even look at you. The only sound in the room is the gentle brushing of Lamb's broom in the back of the store. Makayla looks at each of you with a sense of urgency. Finally, Marcus breaks the silence. I'm pretty sure I had sex with a vampire, he says. When he hears Makayla gasp, he clears his throat and says, maybe I'll tell you guys about that a different time, but yes, I know for a fact there's a vampire in town. Adam raises his hand. I saw something that I can't explain. I saw a guy smoldering when he got exposed to the sun. I don't know much about vampire mythology, but don't they say that sunlight burns vampires? Are you sure he wasn't smoking a blunt? Marcus says. Please explain, Salem says, wrapping her arms around her body like she's cuddling herself. Adam looks at each of you in the eyes before he continues. It was a guy I met at a music festival in Millennium Park in Chicago. It was overcast all day long, and we were in a shaded area listening to music. There was a rare break in the clouds, and I'm pretty sure the sun burnt some guy who was dancing 20 feet from me. And I don't mean like a normal sunburn. The guy had smoke coming off of him. Lamb walks over with a broom and a dustpan in his hands. Of course I couldn't help it over here. I would like to be a part of your brigade. Though I am skeptical about actual vampires walking the earth, I am intrigued enough to learn more. This is all so hard to believe, Lacey says, now pacing. A vampire? In Jericho Heights? I'm sorry if I think this is some kind of joke. Marcus scoffs. But what if it's not a joke? What if the owner of Bleak Rest House is exactly what Makayla says she is? Salem pulls a strand of her hair. Am I the only one freaked out? Everyone else seems way too calm right now. If there are vampires in town, how are we going to stop them? We're just people and they have superpowers. We're all in a lot of danger if this is true, and I can't be the only one who's losing my mind here. I'm concerned, Adam says, his mouth twitching. I've rationalized away stuff like this for a long time. I just didn't want to accept it. I looked at my shadow and watched it move on its own, telling myself there must be something wrong with the sun. Ooh, that says La Sombra to me. But that's also very true, because you have these situations, and it's especially prevalent in the Mage series of games, where human beings will literally just kind of like see something that happens and go, no, that didn't happen. You know what I mean? They just kind of deny it. It's also in Werewolf as well. You shake your head. Let's say I believe Makayla. Why Jericho Heights? It's a small town. Why make this your town and not somewhere larger with more people, like Aurora or Rockford? Well, maybe this is a hideout when she's not preying on Chicago, Marcus says. I'm hearing lots of speculation and no facts, Adam says. Why just one vampire? I've seen that Jayfield guy during the day, so is he like her Renfield? It's a Dracula reference, Makayla says to Marcus. Yeah, I've seen the movie, kid, Marcus replies. Salem digs her fingers through her hair and pulls at it. What's the plan? Like, what do we do now? It's not like we can go all over to Chastain's house and be like, oh hey, you're a vampire, so we're gonna have to kill you. If she's a vampire, she'll probably kill us all. If she's not a vampire, we're going to get arrested. I know she's a vampire, but there's only one way to deal with vampires, Makayla says. But is this even our responsibility? Lacey asks. You're all talking like it's a foregone conclusion that this group inside the store is somehow responsible for dealing with this. We should tell the authorities and let them investigate. Marcus takes a step toward her. This is our responsibility. Makayla tried to tell people about these vampires and no one did a thing about it. We need to protect this town. Lacey takes a step toward Marcus and he backs away. And do what? Hunt vampires? Do we look like vampire hunters? I'm not totally convinced they even exist, but for the sake of argument, if vampires are roaming around Jericho Heights, what do you really expect us to do? We can expose Chastain, Adam says. We can do surveillance and capture her on film. Once we document her true nature, we can take it to the authorities or to the news. Yeah, sure, because taking things to the authorities or the news always makes things better, Marcus growls. That's you remember the video you captured from the other night when Chastain drank your blood. Guys, I have something you all need to see. You pull out your phone to bring up the video. Only it's not there. You search through your library, but can't find it. What do you have to show us? Salem asks. It was there before, but now it's gone. It's the weirdest thing. I've heard enough, Lacey says, shaking her head. Let's go now, Makayla. Gather your things so I can take you to your mom. She lowers her head and says in a low, sad voice, Yes, Mrs. Pendleton. As they prepare to leave, you say, Ooh. Okay. Charisma? And persuasion. Okay. We'd have a little bit of subterfuge, but not a much. We could stand up for her, even if I have to go against Lacey, but we need to... Lacey needs that reality check. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and do this. Lacey, you were bitten by a vampire, which is why you were sick the other day. Truthful +7. Lacey purses her lips and shoots you a hard stare. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm anemic, that's all. You're not anemic. You know how I know? Because I'm feeling the same way that you do. I'm pale and dizzy and tired. And it's not because of some disorder. It's because someone drank my blood last night. She opens her mouth to speak, but hesitates. She fidgets for a moment, fixing her hair bun and shifting from foot to foot. You're right. I've had my suspicions, but I didn't want to consider it. That doesn't mean I'm on board with hunting anything, but I can believe they exist in Jericho. +4 with Lacey. Well, we need a plan, Marcus says. Every successful team starts off with a plan. Ocean's 11, the Italian Job, hell, even the Goonies. We need a whiteboard and some markers. Unfortunately, we can't have a movie montage, Salem says, shaking her head. This isn't a movie, Lacey exclaims. Adam speaks up with an intensity he's been holding back. If we can all agree that this is true, that vampires exist in Jericho Heights, we have a responsibility to save the people in this town. Nice pep talk, but we need a plan if we're moving forward with this. So let's hear them. Who has ideas? Do we go to the police or town council? Maybe call a meeting with a few of the pastors? Lacey says. Makayla stacks her books on the counter again. I went to Sheriff Ray and Mayor Bumpley. They just told me I watched too many horror movies. If y'all want to try to talk to them, be my guest. We need to find out everything we can about vampires or vampirism, or even the names of it, Adam says. Well, in Eastern Europe, they're known as Moroi, or as Strigoi. I've also heard them called Nosferatu. There's even a movie called Nosferatu the Vampire by Werner Herzog based on a silent film in 1922, you say. Damn, Morgan. You know a lot about vampires, Marcus says. That's why I'm so glad you moved here, Makayla says, crossing her arms over her chest and smiling proudly. Head down to the library after we're done here, Salem says. I have access to the rare books collection if we need it. Well, since I'm off work anyway, I'll go with you. Adam looks back over his shoulder at Salem. Marcus stands, knocking over the stool he was sitting on. Look, forget all this sitting around and doing research. Let's go to Bleak Rest House and drag them outside. If they're vampires, they're gonna burst into flames. He makes an explosion with his fingers. Look, we can't just go over there and confront them, say. We need to do surveillance and gather evidence before we do anything. Right now, we have the element of surprise, and they don't know that we're on to them. Marcus's eyes widen, and he punches the palm of his hand. Time for some reconnaissance. The Army-Navy store has a pair of night vision goggles I've been looking to try out. That doesn't sound like a good idea. Going to a vampire's house? Lair? Are you going to ever come back? What if they catch you? Salem asks, pulling at the tips of her hair. Adam grabs her hand, forcing her to let go of her hair. Relax. Marcus is going to be super careful. Lacey puts her purse back over her shoulder and separates her car keys in her hand. I'm heading home for a bit, but I'm going to stop over at the sheriff's office later. Ray will talk to me, and he'll take this seriously. Alright everyone, why don't we all go our separate ways but touch base later on tonight? You say. There's a search party going out to Log Valley Park this evening. We can all meet for the evening shift and talk about what we found. Salem puts her hands to her mouth and gasps. You don't think... Tyler Sanders? Adam says solemnly. I just thought the same thing. As Adam's words sink in, process the reality of vampires living in Jericho Heights. Ooh. My question out of all of this, I don't know enough about the vampires to judge whether they're a threat to town or not. The question is, are the authorities in on this? Does the mayor know about them? And what about the sheriff? Makayla tried to tell the mayor and sheriff about Chastain. She told others as well, and no one believed her. Is it because it's too fantastic to believe in the supernatural? Maybe they're covering for Chastain and the other vampires. You have no doubt in your mind that the authorities in this town must be in league with them. The meeting ends and everyone starts to head out. Adam and Salem leave for the library while Marcus goes to the Army-Navy store. He suggests you meet him later to scout out Bleakrest House. Lamb remains in the store to continue his workday. Your curiosity about Dr. Lobo motivates you to meet with her, so you leave the store and Google the address on your phone. Experience points 3. Jericho Heights Wellness Clinic takes up a prominent amount of real estate in a strip mall on the north side of town, sitting between a delicatessen and a pet shop. After parking your car in the lot, you step in front of the building and notice a sign on a telephone pole advertising live music at Gallagher's Tavern on Thursday night. You make a mental note, ring a bell at a glass security door, and wait to be buzzed in. The interior looks like a cross between a gym and a doctor's office with a small waiting room with 2 couches in front and a huge space of weight machines, standing bikes, treadmills, and other equipment in back. Can I help you? The receptionist asks. My name is Morgan Lee. Dr. Lobo left me a message. The receptionist cuts you off. She's expecting you. Please have a seat. It won't be long. On one couch sits an elderly man that looks like he just came from a golf course, wearing plaid pants and a green pastel shirt. A folded metal walker lies across the rest of the couch. Across from him on the other couch sits an olive-skinned man in his mid to late 20s. Some of his shoulder-length light brown hair is pulled back into a loose bun, and it looks like he hasn't shaved in a week. His clothes are plain and almost too small for his body, which makes his athletic build stand out. When he sees you look around the waiting room, he smiles and slides over to give you room on his couch. You sit on the far side of the loudspeakers as they play an Ed Sheeran song. A pile of out-of-date magazines sits in a hanging rack, and the elderly man begins to snore. I've been waiting for 30 minutes, the younger man says to you. The receptionist looks up from behind the desk. You didn't have an appointment, Joaquin, so we're fitting you in. Oh no, I wasn't complaining. I was just saying it's a bit of a wait. It's all cool. And call me Jace. He leans back on the couch, crosses one leg, and opens to the back of the Heights Standard. Jace. How do you get Jace from Joaquin? The receptionist says with a smile that doesn't hide her flirting. Well, I hate to tell this story, but I will for you. Joaquin is my given name, after mi abuelo. I couldn't pronounce it as a kid, but I called him Jace instead, so that's why my mother called me as a nickname. Phone at the front desk rings and the receptionist picks it up with a frown. Jace holds up the newspaper and scoffs. Where are all the good apartments? You just move into the Heights, or are you looking for a new place? Inquisitive. I just moved here from Chicago, Jace says, lowering the newspaper. Oh, so did I. I'm around Hyde Park. Nice. I live in Woodlawn. I've got a few friends living in the area, so I thought I'd move here. And by the way, I'm Jace. He extends his hand. Well, nice to meet you, you say and shake his hand. I'm Morgan. He smiles, his blue eyes wide. Good to meet you. I just took a job as a bartender at Gallagher's Tavern. You should come by. First drink's on me. Something clicks in your head. Not only do you know of a room for rent right across the street from where you live, you even considered renting a room in your own house. The money would certainly come in handy, but you just met this guy in the waiting room of a doctor's office. As for the room for rent across the street, Salem showed some interest. How would she feel if she found out you helped someone else rent it? Jace does seem nice, and it would be great to have a new friend living in the neighborhood. Okay. So what was the situation with Salem in that room? Like, just met this guy in the waiting room of as for the room for rent across the street, Salem showed some interest. Oh, okay. So Salem wants it. We could go ahead and have Jace move in with us. What do you guys think? I really don't want, right now, considering the fact that this bombshell about vampires has just been shared with the class, I really don't want to get on the bad side of any of our potential vampire hunter party. So I'm thinking, I'm also kind of worried if like Jace may be a plant, but now we've got like the whole hunter paranoia thing happening, which is definitely a theme when you're doing a Mortal Hunter campaign. What to do, what to do. I need the money though. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to risk this. Just so you know, I actually have a room for rent in my house. Relationship with Jace +6. Jace sits up on the couch, straightening his back and turning towards you. Seriously? Dude, that's awesome. Where is it? You give him the address and explain it's an old house with a room the size of a receptionist area, has a private bathroom, and everything else is shared. Since the room for rent across the street is $300 per month and it's smaller than your available room, you tell him the price is... I don't want to swindle the guy. And he's as a bartender, I think he'll make money. So let's be fair. Let's go ahead and give him $300 a month, which I consider to be a very fair price. And we won't take advantage of him. But we also, at the same time, won't coddle him either. Jace mulls over the price, leaning forward with his forearms on his knees and legs bouncing. Well, that does seem like a fair price, and that includes utilities? What about internet? Includes utilities, and the house has Wi-Fi. He claps his hands. Well, hell, when can I come by and take a look? Relationship with Jace +8. You text him the address and tell him to stop by this afternoon. The receptionist summons Jace for his appointment. He drops the newspaper onto an end table and says, "See you later," he says to you. A woman in scrubs with a stethoscope passes him in the opposite direction. Mr. Lee, I can take you back." You follow her past the gym and down a hallway. I guess that's where they do like physical therapy and stuff like that. You come across a room labeled Blood Lab. With the door ajar, you look in to see a blood draw station, a centrifuge used to spin blood samples, and a bed with a transfusion machine beside it. Sitting on a high shelf is a red wooden box with the markings of runes. one of them a symbol for blood. Before you can see anything further, the nurse pulls the door shut and an electronic lock clicks. I don't have a chart for you, which is unusual, the nurse says as she leads you into the exam room. The doctor listed this as a consultation and didn't ask for any of your vitals. You can have a seat and make yourself comfortable. I'll let her know that you're here. He looks genuinely confused and motions you toward a chair. We can bypass the lock? How can you bypass the lock? We have got... What do you guys think? Should we try and check out the blood lab, or should we just sit and wait for the good doctor? I mean, the runes are definitely interesting. And we don't really know anything about the doctor either. So it could be something interesting. Let's go ahead and just go down the hall to the blood lab. We can always claim we got lost. You rise from your chair and hear Inquisitive +1 and hear the exam room door opening. You sit back down just as Dr. Lobo walks in. She holds a metal clipboard and wears a gray suit with no lab coat or other sign of her profession. In those moments, while the door is open, you spot Jace walking past carrying a small cooler. Thank you for coming in today, she says and closes the door. I apologize for our abrupt introduction at the mayor's party, but before I go into my reasons for asking you here, are you feeling well? You look anemic. I feel good enough. But you remember last night. Details already seem like distant memories. You remember an alley and feelings of dread, racing heart, body sweating, and the smell of death. So... could be that Jace is a blood mule, grabbing blood packs. Interesting. Willpower -1, that's not good. Dr. Lobo snaps her fingers. Are you with me? You zoned out. I was asking about your grandfather. Did he ever share with you any information about my clinic? No, your name never came up. I'm only here because you left me a message. I see. Well, since your father never discussed me with you, I have little choice but to be direct. Within the last year, your grandfather and I entered a business arrangement. Once a month, he shipped products for me around the Midwest, discreetly. We kept this arrangement private between the two of us. Since he passed away, I've been unable to conduct my business and have a considerable backlog of orders. My clients are getting a bit distraught. A million questions stampede your mind. You settle on just one for now. What's our wits? What's our insight? Crap. Got 4. So I'm not going to try that. Was he being paid to ship products for you? Because he was in a lot of debt, I find it hard to believe he was making money at this. Impulsive +13. Dr. Lobo looks at you like you're not in on some joke. I cannot speak to your grandfather's finances, but he was well compensated for his services. Neither he nor I were doing this for free. For all I know, he buried it in the backyard or burned it up in his fireplace. She sets the clipboard on the exam table and motions you forward. Slide your chair up here. This document spells out the terms of the deal I had with your grandfather, which I offer to you today. There is no negotiation to these terms. I will give you a few moments to read it over and sign it. You will not be given a copy, and there will be no record of this contract other than the one I keep. Pay attention to everything, because you will never see it again, and after this conversation, I will never discuss it. Read it now. You look over the document, which only consists of a single sheet of printed stipulations. You will receive a letter at your store when a shipment is available. You will come to the clinic at the appointed time and pick up a package. From a sheet of labels inside of the package, you will repackage the contents of the box and ship them along with the packing slip featuring your store's logo and an invoice for typical products from your store, and ship each package out immediately through FedEx next day air. Within 2 days, you'll receive a cashier's check from a corporation unknown to you for $5,000 as compensation. When you look up from the contract, she offers you a ballpoint pen. All you have to do now is sign. You take the pen from her hand and look over the document once again. Only one line exists at the bottom of the page for your signature. $5,000 is a lot of money, especially with all of your grandfather's debt looming over your head. On the other hand, this arrangement surely involves illegal shipments across state lines. By the look of that lab, she may even be shipping blood somewhere. Are you really being asked to participate in blood trafficking? Is the money worth the risk? Your grandfather was in business with Dr. Lobo, so how bad could it be? You... renegotiate the deal? We've got manipulation and persuasion. I mean, if we're gonna do it, I mean, we need the money. See what happens. This may blow up in our face. Conniving +8. You lay the pen down on the exam table and sit back in the chair. I'll do it for $10,000 per shipment. Not a penny less. She stares at you for a few long seconds, and the lines on her face become more pronounced, like her head is squeezing out the answer. Did you not hear the part where I told you there will be no negotiation? All deals can be negotiated. I'm a physician, I'm not a magician. I cannot invent money out of thin air. If I could, I'd have no use for any of this. I just conjure more money from my beach house in Hawaii. I understand it may be difficult to come up with more money for me, but I'll need more to fulfill my end of the deal. She scoffs and looks at the exam table. She uses her fingers to scribble on the surface as if she's writing with a pen. When she's done, she looks back at you and shakes her head. The math doesn't work for me. $5,000 is all I can offer. Take it or leave it. I don't have any willpower left. Manipulation and... I have no intimidation. Oh, I don't know, Vito. I don't have a PS5. I couldn't actually play that. It's my charisma and persuasion. Okay, we're gonna try again. I act upset. Look, I really want to do that deal with you. But I'm in so much debt that even $5,000 won't help. Look, I'm afraid I'm going to lose the store. Can't you do any more? Conniving. She rolls her eyes at you. This is certainly not an Oscar-worthy performance. Nevertheless, I will agree to $7,000 and not a penny more. I'll take it. She smiles, lifts the contract, and places it inside the clipboard. Wonderful. Sadly, I have no bottle of champagne to pop open for a toast, but I'm glad we came to an agreement and hope we have a long partnership. Relationship with Martina Lobo +6. Now, I assume this, that I'm making assumptions, but when you do the... If the grandfather was involved in the supernatural world, and if he was like a hunter or a deterrent to the supernatural, one of the reasons he may have gotten involved with this whole blood trafficking is he could look at the address slips. He could potentially know where they all were located if the blood was going to a location. So that may be a reason, I'm not sure. No champagne, no agreement. She slips past your chair and opens the exam room door. Wait, so that's it? The meeting's over? Yes, it's over. I'm a doctor and I have many patients to see. Don't worry, I won't bill your insurance for this. After she steps out of the room, you leave the office and continue out of the wellness clinic. As you reach your car, you receive a text from Jace that Jace will come by your house at 2 p.m. to look at your room for rent. I must be really interested. You head home and Jace shows up right on time. You greet him by the front door, take him on a tour of the house, and end at the second floor bedroom. This all looks great to me, he says. I have my stuff just around the corner in my van, so I'll just move in now if that's alright with you. He pays you the first month's rent and security deposit. After giving him the key to both the front door and his room, you deposit his check through the bank app on your phone. That accomplished, you turn your attention to other matters. You group text Adam and Salem to ask them to meet you at the library. J. Elliott Holliver Library, named after the first mayor of Jericho Heights, takes up space in the center of town near City Hall. It's the busiest part of town, which includes the only 3-lane street and Ed Fuller's hot dog stand in the summer. He runs an oil delivery business the rest of the year. Oliver Library is one of the oldest buildings in the Heights, but as far as you know, the town's never paid for renovations. When Adam's car pulls into the parking lot, you notice a massive exoskeleton covering the face of the library. Metal scaffolding stands along each wall, and a sign for Maximilian Construction hangs prominently. Can't believe this place is finally getting a facelift, Adam says, opening the driver's side door. My dad said he saw estimates of it costing $2 million to brick-point the entire facade. That is a lot of late fees, Salem says, tapping a finger to her mouth. Who has that kind of money in Jericho Heights? Why would they choose to donate that much money to the library? You say. I haven't heard anything among the staff about the donor, and I don't even know how this will affect my job, so I'm hoping they'll offer me more hours, but they'll probably just hire a few more part-timers instead. Salem hops out of the passenger side door and leans her seat forward to let you out. You climb out of the car and close the door. On the other side, Adam unfolds his wheelchair and climbs in it from the driver's seat. I'm here so often for work that it feels weird to come back when I'm off, Salem says. Amen. I have the same thing at my work. I used to be excited to go to the library. But once I started working here, well, now it's just a job. Almost all of the magic is gone. Yeah, I know what you mean. I used to love hanging out I loved hanging out at the shop when I was a kid, but now that I run it, somehow it feels different. It's a lot of responsibility. What are you two chatting about? Adam says, rolling his chair up a ramp onto the curb. The three of you head toward the entrance to the library. I was saying to Morgan that I used to love coming to the library. I was saying to Morgan that I used to love coming to the library until I worked there. He said the same thing about his grandfather's store. Adam chuckles to himself. Well, I used to hate going to my dad's office, and I hate working there now. You walk ahead and hit a button with a wheelchair symbol on a metal railing under one of the scaffolds. Double doors swing open automatically, and the three of you head inside. Areas of carpeting are missing from the floor, ripped up and rolled to the side, exposing the cement slab. Yellow caution tape marks off areas to the left and right where paint cans and rolls of tape lie scattered around. You make your way through an arch that leads into the library proper, where rows and rows of bookshelves stand and wait. Salem walks away from you and Adam. I'm gonna go say hi to Miss Hanson. She'd be mad if I didn't, and she might be able to point us in the right direction. As she walks away, Adam turns to face you. Look, just tell me to shut up if I'm out of line, but it looks like you and Salem are hitting it off again. Any chance you two may become a thing? Is it that obvious? Losing my touch. Sarcastic +8. Adam smiles. Well, it's obvious enough. I mean, I know you both pretty well, and I have a feeling she's interested in you, too. You look across the library at Salem, leaning across the checkout counter to speak to the librarian. When I got back to the Heights, I instantly felt reconnected to her. I definitely want to see where we can take this. He shakes his head, but smiles. I wouldn't wait too long. She had this on-again, off-again thing with a guy at the coffee shop where her art is hanging. He's kind of a jerk, but she really seems to like him for some reason. Seriously? Guess I'll have to find out what's going on there. Oh, well, here she comes, so we can talk about this later. Good luck. Hey there, so all the books we're looking for are on the second floor. Miss Hanson pointed me to a section devoted to academic studies. She looked pretty annoyed that I asked for help, Salem says. You didn't actually tell her we were looking up vampires, did you? Adam asks. Oh god, no. I told her we were looking up the history of monsters. Dracula, werewolves, yetis. I didn't exactly know how to word it. Anyway, follow me. The second floor of the library shows the real age of the building. Thin carpets pulling up at the corners, rickety wooden chairs and tables, peeling paint on the ceiling, chipped statues, and fake potted plants. Only one worker, a short, hunched old man, pushes a cart through an aisle. Both front wheels wobble like they're all ready to pop off. That's Mr. Gregory, Salem says. The elevator door opens and out walks Miss Hanson carrying a folder. He walks straight past your group without even a glance. I see the section on mythology and historical references. Adam points to a darker area of the floor where bookcases form a triangle leading into a new section. As you walk around Mr. Gregory in his wobbly cart, Salem waves hi to him. Hi, Mr. Gregory. It's nice to see you. Hello, dear. Make sure to submit your time card. Miss Hanson's a real stickler. I will, Mr. Gregory, she chirps. You and Adam wave a cautious hello as the three of you continue on to the mythology section. Once there, Salem pulls out her phone and checks the screen. Miss Hanson gave me the number of some of the books she recommended. They should be right here. She stands on the tips of her toes and squints her eyes as she reads the numbers off the spines of the books. She frowns and moves farther down the line, then frowns again. I don't understand. At least 10 of these are missing. Well, that seems strange, Adam says. Can you look up who checked them out? It's a good idea. I can check the computer up here. Salem walks over to a kiosk where an ancient-looking monitor and keyboard sit. It boots up with a series of annoying beeps that break the silence of the second floor. When the screen turns neon blue, she taps away on the keyboard. That's really weird. They've all been marked for reclassification. I guess we can ask Miss Hanson where they might be, but they're in the special section. I'm sure she'll lend me the key. That's quite a coincidence that all the books that we need are all missing, Adam says, rolling up to the table. So what do we do now? Salem walks over to a bookshelf inside the triangular mythology section and returns seconds later with 2 large, dusty books the size of encyclopedia volumes. Well, 2 of the books are here. They were in the wrong sections. We can start working through these. I don't know if asking Salem out on a date right then would be the best course of action. Maybe when next time that we're alone, if we even have that opportunity. Our charisma and persuasion is high enough, we could go ahead and talk to Miss Hanson to find out who's funding the expansion. They may be responsible for the reorganizing. Alright, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and search the books for books that may be useful first, because that's our veto wheels the ship forward. We'll do this first. With Salem and Adam locked in their own research, you take the opportunity to search for other books that may be of interest. Though Salem's initial search provided some basic history of vampire lore, maybe you can find something unexpected. Research has been part of your scientific training for years now, and though you're used to finding papers in scientific journals and text, the methodology is the same. Searching for a keyword like vampire turning up nothing in the library though, so your first step is to look for related phrases that may be easily overlooked. You step over to the computer on the second floor and do a few keyword searches in the library catalog system. Although you trust Salem, you don't trust Miss Hanson. So you start out by searching for vampires. You get many of the usual suspects: Bram Stoker's Dracula, novels by Anne Rice, the Twilight series, and other works of popular fiction. You notice how my tone there. Next you focus on lore, but as Salem found, all of the books are missing. Checked out, relocated, or being read right now by your friends. You turn your attention to other keywords. You search for spellings in other languages. Vampire, all those words. You check for mythological creatures like Lamia, cadaver sanguine, and even blood-sucking demons. Your search results show much of the same. Books don't exist at this library, or their status reads relocated. After nearly exhausting all of your ideas, you finally get a hit. Search for the term Nosferatu. Though almost all the books within this keyword are checked out, you notice one single book has a mislabeled call number. While it should start with BA9, the digits are transposed to B9A. Finally, something goes my way, and it happens in a library of all places. Thank you to whoever made this mistake, you say under your breath. You jot down the full number and head to an aisle of the library in the far corner opposite the elevator where your friends sit. Your search takes you to foreign language self-help books. Running your finger along the spines of dusty books you imagine are never checked out, you find the single book, Autobiography of the Hunter. Pulling it out, you flip to the back cover where you see a picture of an olive-skinned woman in a gray wool suit standing in a cemetery. My name is Annis Keen, and I hunt vampires. No one wants to believe the truth. Vampires are real, and they are everywhere. I'll take you on a personal account of my past 3 years learning about this threat through our society and how I've trained to hunt them. The book is a full 300 pages and too long to read right now. Considering how many other books on the topic have gone missing, you see no point in checking it out. You slip the book into your bag with a plan to read it later. Well, thank you, Moonyin. I appreciate that. Are there still things I can do? Yeah. With your search over, you return to your friends. As Adam and Salem open the books at the table, you slip out the Hunter book you just found. You slide it onto the table, revealing it to Salem and Adam. Hey guys, I just found this. It was mislabeled in the library system, but I found it. Salem turns the book just enough to read the cover. Annis Keen. Why do I know that name? Adam rolls his eyes. That nut job? Her story was all over the news. I think it even went national. She's a survivalist who wrote a manuscript and paid to self-publish it. I'm not sure how the library got it, but that looks like a copy. Anyway, maybe 5 years ago, she was going off about how vampires lived among us. She was even on cable access to a few dozen viewers. He takes out his phone and taps on the screen, his fingers moving quickly. Didn't she wind up in jail? Adam leans back to his wheelchair and holds the phone up to read from it. Yep, here's a Sun Times article. Grew up in Chicago, worked as a financial manager for a Fortune 500. After the death of her partner, she quit her job and sold all of her possessions. Spent time in a residential mental health facility. Left and moved to Gary, built a home in Manzanillo, yada yada yada. Okay, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives investigated Keen after neighbors reported disturbances to local police. When the ATF came to her house, a confrontation ensued in which an agent was shot. After arresting her, authorities found automatic weapons and explosives in a bunker she was building on the property. She's now in federal prison on weapons and explosive charges. Throughout her arrest, arraignment, and trial, she kept on saying she was hunting vampires. You know, a few days ago I would have said the lady's insane, but knowing now that vampires exist, just because we know there's a vampire in Jericho Heights doesn't necessarily mean Keen has all of her marbles. She's been so discredited. I mean, she shot a federal agent. Or are they all vampires too? Adam puts his phone away, shaking his head at you. Look, no one really knows what Keen went through. Maybe she was pushed too far. Stress can make people do crazy things, Salem says. You draw the book back and slip it into your bag. Next to you, footsteps draw your attention to the other side of a bookshelf where a tall man in dark green coveralls carries a toolbox. He glances in your direction and looks away as you meet his gaze. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. He hurries to the end of the aisle and turns a corner into a different section. Hey, Salem? I just saw some guy in coveralls with a toolbox. Any idea who that could be? Ooh, Larry? I didn't realize he was working today. He works the morning shift. I don't know him very well. A few moments pass in silence as all three of you thumb through musty books that haven't been opened in years. Your hands are caked with dust. When you sneeze, a small cloud puffs across the tables. Hey guys, isn't that Mrs. Duncan? You know, Monroe Duncan's mom? Adam says, peering at a table on the far end of the library. Salem glances up. Yeah, that's her. She's here a lot, at least since her divorce. Breaks my heart to think about what she's been through. Okay, guys, we've got some options here. We can talk to Miss Hanson to find out who's funding the library's expansion, which I think we have enough for. And that's an actual role. We can follow Larry to see what he's up to, and the fact that we had the hair stand up on our neck indicates that our awareness is telling us there's something supernatural afoot. We can approach Miss Monroe to discuss her daughter's disappearance. You think following Larry right now would make the most sense, Ogrimmar? It may. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and follow Larry right now, because I don't know if the opportunity is going to pop up again. As soon as you saw him, Larry piqued your curiosity. Why did he keep looking in your direction? What's he up to? Hey guys, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back in a few minutes, you say. Stepping away from the table, you head to the end of the aisle where the magazine racks start. You see no signs of anyone, so you walk further along the aisle until the end where it stops at a door marked Maintenance. You look around to make sure no one's watching, and when you're sure you're alone, you reach the door handle. Footsteps call out from your right side, and you turn as a shadow approaches. Yeah, but for the Switch, that's going to be fairly interesting to see how they do that, because DW9 was such a strange game. How they switch over to the Empire system should be interesting. I won't be playing it, because I thought DW9 was a dumpster fire. However, Samurai Warriors 5 Empires could be very interesting.
Hey, over here,
a voice says. From the edge of another aisle, Larry peeks out and waves you over to him. He steps forward and disappears into an unlit hallway. Hesitant, but too curious to turn your back, you make your way around the corner just as he enters a side room. As you walk closer to the room, you hear the sounds of heavy machinery, an abnormal buzzing and clinking of moving mechanical parts. You take a quick look inside and see him standing by an air conditioner the size of an oven. He waves you in.
Close the door behind you.
He speaks in a rough voice like he's waiting to clear a wad of phlegm. He has a long, crooked nose like it's been broken too many times, and he has streaks of gray through his blonde hair. He holds a toolbox in his hands like it's a lunchbox, and tufts of coarse hair poke from his knuckles. Hi there. I'm Morgan. My friend Salem works here, and I was just looking around the library. I'm sorry if I disturbed anything.
We don't have a lot of time,
he says. It's difficult to hear him over the AC unit. He steps close to you, close enough to smell the tobacco dip in his breath.
Those books your friend couldn't find, they're gone for good. Miss Hanson took them. They got to her.
Wait, how do you know what books we're looking for? You ask. You strain to talk over the sounds of the machine next to you. Look, can we shut that off? I can barely hear myself think.
No!
He shouts and covers the power switch with his hand. He points to the overhead light fixture and looks up.
They're always listening and watching. I've seen things in this library that made me realize we are all under surveillance all the time. Whatever you have going on, whatever you're doing out there, whatever answers you're trying to find, stop it. It's the only way you'll stay safe. Now go back to your friends. We never talked. Got it?
Thanks for the warning, but can I ask you a few questions? Door swings open and Larry steps into the hallway. By the time you cross the room, he's gone. After searching for Larry for several minutes, you return to your friends at the table. Salem looks up at you with a smile. Welcome back. You've been gone a while. Everything okay? Did Larry say not to say anything about him, like we never talked? But I need, we're all in this together, though. Or do we want to keep... Yeah, I might as well be open and honest. Truthful! Oh no, there's stress levels. You lean over the table and wave them in closer. You tell them about your brief meeting with Larry and how he told you that the books on vampires are all missing, taken by Miss Hanson. Your friends light up as they hear the news. 6 and 3 and +1 and +1. I never liked Miss Hanson, but I never thought she'd be manipulated by anyone, Salem says. Adam rubs his chin. Do we trust Larry? Do you have any reason to believe he's misleading us? Shrug. I don't know. I can only tell you what I was told. Salem, what do you know about him? Salem puffs out her cheeks and blows out a sigh. I don't know him very well. I don't know what kind of game he'd be running to lead Morgan into a room and lie about Miss Hanson. Even if he doesn't like her for some reason, what could we do about it? Did Larry say anything else to you? You look around the area to make sure no one is watching. An image of Larry pointing at a vent in the ceiling pops into your mind. Just told me to be careful. He didn't go into specifics. Let's just keep all of this to ourselves and not talk to anyone. We shouldn't ask Miss Hanson for anything. Adam and Salem share a look of worry. I can't. I just can't, Salem says, pulling the hair at her temples nervously. I don't want to freak out, but if Chastain is somehow manipulating Miss Hanson, this is too much. Reach out and touch her wrist, rubbing the top of her hand to calm her. Everything's going to be okay. Look, we just have to stay sharp, stay calm. We look out for each other, and I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Salem licks her lips and nods to you. The three of you return to your research and speak no more about the library, Larry, or Miss Hanson. I don't know, guys. Would this be a good time to go ahead and ask Salem out on a date? She's stressed out and upset. A perfect time to ask her out. Should I? Got that adrenaline flowing. Runyan. No. I'll tell you what. I would not do that in this situation, but we're going to give fate a chance. All right. I've got a D20 right here. I know I should have a D10, but I'm gonna go. Do I have a D10? I should have one here. All right. We're gonna give a 25% chance. If I roll a 1 through 5, I'm gonna go ahead and ask her out on a date during all of this. If not, we'll save it for another time. All right. So let's see what happens here. I don't know if you all can see that. Hold on. That's a 5 right there. So, guess what we're doing. You wait for an opportunity to speak with Salem alone, and it comes with when Adam excuses himself on a coffee run for the three of you. She stares down at her book, her dark hair on one side tucked behind one ear. On the other side, it's hanging down close to the table. The ship has been sailed. Salem? Say to get her attention. She looks at you with her deep brown eyes. The slender shape of her chin gives her a look like she's ready to smile at any moment. I saw an ad for live music at Gallagher's Tavern on Thursday night. Would you be interested in going? Well, that depends. I work till 9 and would need to go home and get ready. How about 10:30? She focuses back on her book. That works for me. Who else is going? Onward! Just you and me. You know, a date. Truthful +7. She looks up from her book and bites her bottom lip before saying, "Oh, I see. I'd like that." She reaches across the table and touches your hand, only for a second. Relationship with Salem +3. The two of you return to your books, and you each can't wipe the smiles away until Adam returns minutes later. Huzzah! Alright, now, I think we're gonna go talk to Miss Hanson and find out who's funding the library's expansion. Miss Hanson stands behind a checkout counter where she's opening the back covers of books and slamming a stamp onto the back page, her face in a permanent scowl. As you make your way over, she turns to address you and knocks over a pile of books. They tumble to the floor. She takes a moment to collect them and stack them into a new pile. "Can I help you?" she asks without looking at you. Knowing she may be reluctant to provide sensitive information about the library's secret benefactors, you decide to approach her in an indirect manner. "I recently moved here from Chicago. I used to go to all the libraries there, but honestly, they all lack the character of this library. How long has it been here?" you ask. She furrows her brow in a look of not just confusion, but annoyance. "What are you asking? How old is the Holliver Library?" "Sorry, I know it's a strange question, but with all the renovations going on, I was just wondering when it was built and how long it served Jericho Heights." She slides her pile of books to the side and leans on the counter. "It was established in 1923. Of course, Jericho Heights was quite rural at the time, and the library consisted of only a small collection of books for schools and public affairs. It was not until 1969 when it was expanded with a grant from Maximilian Holliver." "Oh, so I'm guessing all these renovations are being funded by the Holliver estate?" "Amaranth, thank you very much for that resub for 18 months. Remember, guys, all bit subs and ad revenue here on the Twitch channel go to benefit my local children's hospital via Extra Life, so thank you for supporting the channel and supporting the kids." She shakes her head with a laugh. "Oh no, not at all. The Hollivers have nothing to do with our town anymore. This current project is made possible by a gift from other donors." "I just hope whoever's providing the funding doesn't want to change the spirit of the library." "Well, absolutely not. They love Jericho Heights and have a fondness for learning and the arts. They want nothing more than to bolster this library and expand many of its collections, including one of the largest American history collections in the county." Miss Hanson lifts a mug to her lips and draws back from the counter. "Why American history?" you ask, leading her down a path. "They must have a connection to such studies and want to..." That's when it hits you. You've heard of another connection to American history in the form of a podcast. Amanda Chastain and Gabriel J. Field's podcast. Could they be the benefactors? Are Miss Chastain and Mr. J. Field funding the expansion? Miss Hanson's face turns bright red and she sprays out her hot tea. She holds a hand to her chest and coughs in long wheezes.
"What are you talking about? Whatever gave you that idea?"
Her expression of panic tells you all you need to know. You grab a box of tissues and hand her a bundle. "I'm so sorry. I'll leave you alone now. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Hanson." You hurry away from her and head back to the table where your friends still sit. "It's getting late, and I need to head home." Salem slams her book shut. "Well, I'll take the books back to the front. So, did we learn anything?" "Well, we learned there may be at least one vampire out there, even though it doesn't sound like she's the real..." Oh, wait, that's me. I'm sorry. "Well, we learned there may be at least one vampire hunter out there, even though it doesn't sound like she's the real deal," you say. Adam shakes his head. "Well, we need to learn more so we can come up with a plan. Oh well. Come on, I'll bring you guys home. We'll all catch up later at Long Valley Park." Experience points +2. As clouds cover the afternoon sky, a blanket of darkness descends on Jericho Heights. You check the time on your phone several times to reassure yourself sunset is still many hours away. A text from Marcus blinks on your phone asking you to join him at Bleak Rest House. Another from Lacey reminds you about the search party later. You have a lot of work to do in your store, and the day drifts on. At this point, you may use your unspent experience points or save them for later. Skills? Do we want? What do we want? Oh, we don't have enough for anything. other than maybe our subterfuge. Do you want to go ahead and raise up our subterfuge and get it to 2? We were raising it anyway. Let's go ahead and do that. Wait. Insight. Insight or subterfuge? Subterfuge. Okay. Leadership might not be bad now that we're forming a Scooby Gang. Yep. Well, how much is it to... Hold on. I want to start over and select new improvements. Let's see that. Attributes. Oh, whoops. That was foolish. 3. I have... Oh, that sucks. Okay. So it'd be 3 for a new one, and I'd just be out of range for the next. Alright, well, we'll go ahead and do a subterfuge. We'll go with leadership next time. Maybe. And the story continues. Dicing with death, which is something you never want to hear in a tabletop RPG game. But we have reached chapter 7, guys, so you know what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and end the stream here, and we will pick it up next time with chapter 7. I'm actually very glad when I logged on today that it was still at chapter 6. They did a patch, apparently this past Sunday, that actually wiped some games for people. What I think what we need to do from now, if we keep on just like at each chapter, because I think it may mess up if you're like in the middle of a scene and then they put in a patch. So we're just going to keep on going. Hopefully with all the patches and stuff that get released, that it doesn't actually wipe our game. So I wouldn't have to start a new game and try and replicate every single one of our decisions, because I had to do that twice with VTM Night Road. Like the only really annoying thing about these kind of games is that patches tend to mess people up who are doing slow playthroughs. But yeah, we'll just keep on keeping on, and it looks like we're going to be entering the danger zone here pretty soon. Cue Randy Savage. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you haven't followed the Twitch channel, please do so. I try and stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays with random times in between. And if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, I have a link to the Twitch channel in the description below. Please give us a follow there. And I also have a link to my Extra Life page where I'm raising money for my local children's hospital via the Extra Life charity. So check out those links if you feel so inclined. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill there. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.